I stayed in relationships with men far too long for many years because I wanted so badly to be chosen, to be valued, to be seen, to be noticed. And so no matter what I did to try to make it work with the men that I was in relationships with, they couldn't see me or appreciate me no matter what I did to try to get them to see me. I also became a workaholic there for a while, trying to seek validation from my work and from the pursuit of success. I even developed an eating disorder in my 20s because I believed that I had to control food and that I had to over exercise so that I could look a certain way to gain the approval of others so that I could feel worthy of being a woman. I spent a lot of money that I didn't have for years to try to create an image that people would respect and admire. And I wasted many miserable hours comparing myself to other people, and I never felt like I measured up. No matter what I did, no matter what I had, it was never enough because I believed that I wasn't enough. And, we all have a vice, and many of us have several. I had several. We drink too much, we spend too much money, we eat too much, we work too much, we lust too much. We try to soothe that deep ache inside of ourselves to prove ourselves that we are valuable, that we're acceptable, that we're worthy, that we're wanted. And we attempt to drown out that other voice that tells us the lie that what we want and what we need and who we are is not enough and not okay, and that what we want and need is not available to us. And so we rely on our vices, and we think that our vices are going to help us avoid those feelings of lack and those feelings of pain that we'll do anything to avoid. Yet in those moments, in the quiet of our soul, though we feel some relief from our vices, in the quiet moments, deep in our soul, that ache is not going to be silenced. And we hear that voice of truth that whispers to us, there is more. There is more. Our truth actually wants to set us free from the shame and the fear that cycle, the shame and the fear that keeps us in the cycle, that keeps us the cycle perpetuated and keeps us in the bondage of that vicious, unhealthy cycle of our vices, of using our vices to keep that pain down. So, what is your vice? Or maybe, like me, you have several. And maybe you use them one after the other, or you rotate them because one may not be working at this point. And I got to the point where none of my vices worked for me anymore the same way. And the misery just had to come up, and I had to deal with it. And instead of shaming yourself and remaining in the shame and the bondage of the cycle of your vice at this point, I want you to give yourself permission to do this instead. I want you to ask yourself, what is the deep truth in my heart that I am trying to muffle with my vices that really just wants to be heard and acknowledged? What is it I'm so afraid of taking a look at that I'm avoiding? Are you believing the lie that you have to stay stuck in an unfulfilling relationship or an unfulfilling job because you don't believe that what you want is really available to you? Do you believe that you have to continue working so many hours or achieving that certain level of status or success to feel valuable or needed because you don't think that your love for who you really are? Are you buying into the lie that tells you that you have to look a certain way or maintain a certain image to try to keep up with the Joneses or to feel worthy? What voice of truth are your vices muffling for you? It's time to stop avoiding and really start listening. Instead of perpetuating that cycle of misery, you can finally own your truth and accept yourself and begin to honor what it is that you really want. To free ourselves from that prison and from the bondage of those vices requires that we accept ourselves and we embrace our truth. And we have to come to believe and really trust that what we want in our heart was put there by our Creator. And so it's not wrong, and He is going to honor that. So free yourself today from settling for the counterfeit that your vices want you to settle for. It's not enough. And I want you to say this, I no longer have to shut off my voice, and I no longer have to shut off any part of me or muffle my voice or any part of myself that to keep someone else happy, or to avoid being alone or rejected. And I don't have to continue to perform, I don't have to continue to achieve to be loved or accepted. That I am free to be who I am and boldly and bravely and authentically be me and own my truth. And that what I want and what I need is good and it is enough and it will be honored because I am enough. Because I am enough. Because I am enough.